Far away from Earth, in the cold dark space, there was a planet called Xylon. It was a powerful and advanced world, full of tall silver buildings and glowing lights. The people of Xylon were not like humans. They had no emotions, no love, no fear. They followed only one rule: obey the council or face punishment. In the grand hall of the council, two young alien girls stood, their hands chained with blue energy ropes. Their names were Zira and Vila. They looked alike with glowing eyes and silver hair, but their hearts were different. The head of the council, an old alien with sharp eyes, looked at them with anger. "You both broke the rules," the head said in a cold voice. "You disobeyed. You showed curiosity about emotions. That is forbidden." Zira wanted to speak, but Vila pulled her back. Speaking more would only make it worse. As punishment, the head continued, "You will be sent to a distant, dangerous planet, Earth." Cold wind passed through the hall. Earth was known to Xylonians, but it was seen as a place of chaos. Humans were considered wild, emotional, and violent. You will have no powers, no way to call for help. Survive if you can. If you die, so be it, the head declared. Before Zira or Vila could protest, a bright light surrounded them, and in seconds, they vanished, transported through space. They woke up in a dark, cold forest. The sky above was cloudy, the wind howling through the trees. Rain started to fall, and the ground was muddy. Zira opened her eyes first. She felt weak, as if her energy was drained. She looked at her hands, they were shaking. She had never felt cold before. "Vila, wake up," Zira whispered. Vila groaned and sat up slowly. She touched her chest, feeling something strange. "What is this feeling?" "My chest. It's beating," Vila said, confused. "We never had this before." "It's a heartbeat," Zira said quietly. "Humans have it." They stood up, looking around. Everything was dark, wet, and loud with the sound of thunder. "We need shelter," Zira said. "We need to find a safe place." But before they could move, they heard footsteps. Crunch, ... Crunch, ... Someone was coming. The footsteps were heavy, slow, but getting closer. Zira grabbed Vila's arm. "Someone is here." Both girls hid behind a tree, watching closely. A figure appeared, holding a flashlight. The light cut through the darkness. It was a young man, wearing a raincoat, his face half covered by a hood. His eyes looked serious but kind. "What are you girls doing here? Are you lost?" the man asked aloud, scanning the area. Zira didn't reply. She was scared. She had never seen a human this close. But her body was weak, and suddenly, her legs gave out. She fell to the ground with a soft cry. The man heard it and rushed over. "Hey, are you okay?" he asked, kneeling beside her. Vila tried to pull Zira up, but she was too weak too. "Don't be scared. I'm not going to hurt you," the man said softly. "My name is Ethan. Let me help you." Zira looked into his eyes. They were ... warm, not cold like Xylonians. She nodded slowly. Ethan helped both girls stand up. He noticed how strange they looked. Their hair was silver, their eyes almost glowing. "Where are your parents? Are you from the city?" Ethan asked, but the girls didn't answer. They didn't know what to say. They didn't understand human ways yet. "You must be freezing. Let's get you inside." "My cabin is close," Ethan said. With no other choice, Zira and Vila followed him. Their legs felt heavy, their hearts beating too fast. "What is this feeling?" Zira thought. "Why does my body feel weak, yet warm near this human?" Ethan brought them to a small wooden cabin in the forest. It was warm inside, a fire burning in the fireplace. He gave them blankets and hot drinks. "You're safe here. Rest," Ethan said with a smile. Zira and Vila sat near the fire, watching the flames dance. "Why is he helping us?" Vila whispered. "We're strangers." "I don't know," Zira said. Humans are dangerous. He's kind. Suddenly, Zira felt a sharp pain in her head. She closed her eyes and tried to connect to Xylan through her mind, but nothing worked. She felt blocked. Someone is stopping us from contacting home, she realized. Vila looked at Zira with worry. We're trapped here, aren't we? Zira nodded. Slowly, yes, and I think this is just the beginning. Outside, in the dark forest, a drone flew silently in the sky. It had been watching them. Far away, in a secret facility, a man watched the screen and smiled. Unknown life forms detected, he whispered. Time to investigate. The storm outside had passed, but the night was still dark. The forest whispered with the sound of leaves moving in the cold wind. Inside the wooden cabin, the two alien girls sat silently near the fire, wrapped in thick blankets. Zira watched the flames. They danced and crackled, so different from the cold energy of her home planet. Vela, sitting beside her, kept looking. Around the cabin, every object was strange. Wooden walls, soft chairs, glowing lights. In a corner, Ethan was preparing food. He hummed quietly, not noticing how the girls stared at him like curious creatures. Why is he helping us? Vela whispered again. We are nothing to him. Zira shook her head. Humans are strange. Ethan returned, holding 2 bowls of hot soup. He smiled kindly. Here, you both need to eat something, he said. Vila looked at the bowl like it was a weapon. She didn't understand. Zira took a careful sip and her eyes widened. It's warm, Zira said softly. It tastes good, Ethan chuckled. Of course it's soup. Haven't you ever had soup before? Zira didn't answer. She couldn't explain that she had never eaten food before. Xylonians didn't need to eat. Vila hesitated, then tried it too. Her expression changed with every sip. The warmth, the taste, it was a new feeling. A good one for the first time. Vila smiled a little. Ethan watched them, puzzled. You both are different. Where did you come from? The girls looked at each other. They couldn't tell the truth. We don't remember. Zira lied quietly. Ethan frowned. No memories? That's bad. Maybe I should take you to the police. At the word police, both girls tensed up. They didn't know what police were, but the word sounded like danger. No police, Zira said quickly. Ethan raised an eyebrow. Why? We just want to stay here, Zira added. Ethan sighed. Okay, but only for now. Far away, in a hidden underground facility, a group of humans watched screens. The drone's camera had captured everything, the crash, the strange girls, and now the cabin. A man in a suit stood in the control room. His name was Director Kane, leader of a secret agency that hunted unknown beings. We have aliens on Earth, Kane said with a thin smile. Prepare a team. We're bringing them in. Back in the cabin, the girls were finally asleep near the fireplace, their faces peaceful. But their peace was short. Zira dreamed of home, the tall silver towers of Xylan, the cold faces of the council, the pain of punishment. Then suddenly, the dream turned dark. She saw a shadowy figure with red glowing eyes. You will never escape, the shadow whispered in her mind. Zira woke up with a scream. Vela and Ethan rushed to her. Are you okay? Ethan asked, worried. Zira was shaking. I saw something. Something is coming. Ethan looked outside. The forest was quiet. But he didn't know that, not far away, black vans were driving. Through the night, filled with armed agents, Vila hugged Zira. For the first time they felt fear. A feeling they never knew on Xylan. The next morning, the sun rose weakly through the clouds. The girls explored around the cabin. Everything fascinated them. The sound of birds, the smell of trees, the soft touch of grass. Earth is strange, Vela said, but I like it. Zira looked at Ethan from afar. He was chopping wood, his muscles moving with every swing of the axe. She didn't understand why, but watching him made her chest feel warm. Why are humans so different? Zira whispered. Suddenly, a sharp pain hit her head again. She fell to her knees. Vila ran to her. What is it? Zira gritted her teeth. Someone is watching us. In the trees, hidden cameras were tracking them. Then, a silent alarm beeped in the secret facility. Director Kane smiled. Target located. Move in. That night, Zira stood by the window, staring at the sky. We can't stay here long, she told Vila. They'll come for us. Vila looked sad. But I like it here. I feel happy. Me too, Zira admitted. But happiness is dangerous for us. Before they could speak more, Ethan came in, holding an old radio. You girls need to tell me the truth, he said firmly. Who are you really? Zira looked at him, her lips shaking. But before she could answer, the radio crackled with static. Double quotes. Unknown. Energy detected. Approaching coordinates. Ethan's eyes widened. That's near here. Suddenly, outside the cabin, lights flashed between the trees, not from cars, but from weapons. The agents had arrived. The night was no longer peaceful. Bright lights flashed through the trees. The sound of footsteps, the quiet clicks of loaded guns. They were getting closer to the cabin. Inside, Zira's heart raced. She could hear them. She could feel them. We have to run, Zira whispered. But where? Vela asked, her voice trembling. Ethan grabbed his jacket. There's a hidden trail behind the cabin. Follow me. Without waiting, he led the way. The girls ran behind him, their feet cold and wet from the forest floor. For the first time, they felt fear, not the fear of punishment, but the fear of losing something. Something they didn't understand yet. Minutes later, the agents stormed the empty cabin. Director Kane stood in the middle, his sharp eyes scanning the place. They were here, he muttered. But not far. His men spread out into the forest, searching, hunting. Ethan guided the girls deep into the woods. He finally stopped near a fallen tree, breathing hard. We'll rest here for a bit, he said. Zira was still alert, her eyes glowing faintly in the dark. Why are those men chasing you? Ethan asked. Zira looked at Vila. Then she looked at Ethan. We're not from here, she finally said. What do you mean? Zira took a deep breath. We're from a place far beyond your sky. We were sent here as punishment. Ethan stared, speechless. You single quotes read ... aliens? Zira nodded slowly. Ethan wanted to laugh. It sounded crazy, but deep inside, he knew they were different. Their glowing eyes, their strange way of speaking. The way they looked at everything like it was new, it made sense now. Vila's voice was soft. We don't want to hurt anyone, we just want to survive. Ethan looked between them, then smiled weakly. Then I'll help you. Why? Zira asked, confused. Because it's the human thing to do, Ethan replied. The girls looked at each other. The human thing to do. That was strange to hear. But it sounded good. The next morning, Ethan brought them to an old farmhouse deep in the forest. It was abandoned but safe. You can stay here. I'll bring food and clothes, Ethan said. Zira watched him carefully. Why do you care? Ethan laughed. Because you both look like lost kids, and ... I've been alone too. His words made Zira quiet. Alone. That was a familiar feeling. Vela explored the farmhouse, touching old furniture, books, and clothes. What is this? Vela held up a dress. Clothes, Ethan explained. You need to wear normal things to blend in. Vela tried putting the dress on but wore it backwards. Zira tried shoes but wore them on the wrong feet. Ethan laughed softly. You're really not from here. The girls smiled shyly. For the first time, it felt like fun. Days passed. Ethan taught them how to eat, how to wear clothes, how to speak better. They learned about music, books, even jokes. Things that didn't exist on Xylan. Vila enjoyed learning to cook. She messed up the first few times but laughed at her mistakes. Zira liked books. She read stories about humans, love, and friendship. She didn't understand it yet, but she wanted to. One evening, they all sat together, eating by candlelight. Ethan looked at them. You're learning fast, maybe too fast. Zira smiled. Maybe, we like being human. Ethan looked at her closely. He noticed something. Zira's eyes, once cold, now looked warm. Alive. But their peace wouldn't last. Back in the secret facility, Director Kane watched his screens. His agents had found energy traces near the old farmhouse. They won't hide forever, he said coldly. But he wasn't the only one watching. In the dark of space, far above Earth, a signal reached Xylan. The Council received it. The exiles are adapting too well. The Council leader's face twisted with anger. Send the hunters. Bring them back, or destroy them. One night, Zira woke up suddenly. Her body felt hot. She stood in front of the farmhouse mirror. Her hands were glowing faintly. What's happening to me? She whispered. Vila woke up too. She screamed. Her eyes burned bright, her veins glowing blue. Ethan rushed in. What's wrong? Zira held her head. Our powers. They're returning, but wrong, unstable. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew the door open. A strange hum filled the air. Zira looked at the sky. Something was coming. Something not human. The night was heavy with silence, but Zira could hear something. A low hum, like a machine far away, growing louder with every second. She stood outside the farmhouse, staring up at the dark sky. There, a small black shape floating between the stars. A ship. But not human. Vila stood beside her, her glowing eyes wide with fear. Is that? Zira nodded. It's them. Xylan's hunters. They found us. Inside the farmhouse, Ethan was gathering supplies. He didn't know what was coming, but he could see the fear in their faces. What's up there? Ethan asked. Zira turned to him. It's not your fight, Ethan, but if they catch us, they'll kill you too. Ethan grabbed his backpack. Then, I'm fighting. Zira looked at him, confused. Why, we're not even human. You are to me, Ethan said simply. Suddenly, bright lights beamed down from the sky. The ground shook. A loud thud echoed as a massive ship hovered just above the trees. Metallic figures dropped from the ship, tall, armored hunters with no faces, only red lights where eyes should be. They moved fast, scanning the area with strange devices. Inside the farmhouse, Vila screamed, not because of the hunters, but because her body was glowing uncontrollably again. Energy flowed through her veins, hot and painful. Zira grabbed her hand. You have to control it, Vila. I can't, Vila cried. It hurts. Ethan watched, helpless. What's happening to her? Zira's voice was firm. She's changing. We're changing. The longer we stay on Earth, the more human we become, but it's mixing with our powers. Suddenly, the walls shook. A hunter crashed through the wall, its red eyes glowing. Scanning the room. Targets found. It said in a cold robotic voice. Ethan picked up a wooden bat, stood in front of the girls. You'll have to get through me first. The hunter raised its arm, aiming a strange weapon. But before it could fire, Zira's eyes burned bright. She raised her hand, and for the first time, a burst of blue energy shot out, hitting the hunter and sending it crashing back through the wall. She stared at her hand, breathing hard. I did that. Vila looked up, still weak. Your powers. They're back. Zira helped Vila stand. We have to run. More are coming. Ethan nodded. There's a tunnel under the farmhouse. It leads to the forest. They didn't waste time. They escaped through the tunnel just as more hunters entered the farmhouse, destroying everything in sight. As they ran through the forest, Ethan asked, "Why are they chasing you?" Zira answered between breaths, "Because we broke the laws of our planet. We weren't supposed to feel ... to care." Vila added weakly, "But here ... we feel everything." They stopped when they heard the sound of helicopters. But these weren't alien. They were human. Suddenly, bright lights shone on them, and human soldiers surrounded them. "Freeze! Hands in the air!" a soldier shouted. Zira tried to power up, but Ethan grabbed her arm. "No, don't. They'll kill you." A man stepped forward. "Director Kane, well, the aliens come out at last," he said with a smirk. Zira glared at him. "Who are you?" "I'm the one who's been hunting you since you landed," Kane said. "But don't worry, you'll be safe if you cooperate." Ethan stepped in. "They're not dangerous," Kane laughed. "Not yet. But they will be." Before Zira could respond, the sky roared again. The alien hunters had caught up. Their ship hovered above, and hunters dropped around the soldiers. Red lasers, blue energy blasts, bullets, chaos exploded in the forest. Ethan pulled Zira and Vila behind a tree. "We have to get out," Vila pointed. "There, a path." They ran, dodging blasts and gunfire. Behind them, the human soldiers fought the hunters, but they were losing. Director Kane watched the battle with interest. "Let them run," he whispered. "We'll follow." Finally, after what felt like hours, they reached an abandoned warehouse deep in the woods. They collapsed inside, breathing hard. Ethan turned to them. "You need to tell me everything." Zira looked tired but determined. "We're from Xylan. We were punished because we wanted to feel, to understand emotions." Vila added softly, "But here, we felt kindness, fear, love." Ethan looked at them both. His heart pounded. "You can't go back there, can you?" Zira shook her head. "If we return, they'll erase us." Vila looked at Ethan, her eyes soft. "We don't want to lose what we found here," Ethan smiled gently. "Then you won't. I'll help you." But outside, in the darkness, Director Kane watched through binoculars. "Soon," he whispered, "they'll have no choice but to come with us." Far above, on the alien ship, the leader of the hunters received a signal from Xylan. "Capture the aliens. If they resist, destroy them." The real hunt had just begun. The old warehouse was cold and dusty, but for now, it was their only shelter. Zira stood by the window, watching the dark trees outside. The night felt heavier than before, like the air itself knew something terrible was coming. Vila sat on the floor, her back against the wall, still weak from her powers trying to awaken. Ethan was nearby, quietly loading an old shotgun, the only weapon he had. "We can't stay here," Ethan said. "They'll find us." Zira nodded. "I know. The hunters never stop. They're machines, programmed to finish their mission." Vela looked up, her voice low. "We're running out of places to hide." Suddenly, the warehouse door creaked open. All three jumped to their feet, ready to fight. But instead of a hunter or soldier, a man in a long black coat stepped inside. His hands raised. "Easy. I'm not here to hurt you," the man said. Ethan aimed his shotgun. "Who are you?" The man smiled calmly. "Name's Dr. Felix Crane. I work for the agency, the ones chasing you." Zira's eyes narrowed. "Then why are you here?" Dr. Crane stepped closer slowly. "Because I know what they'll do to you if they catch you. I've seen it before." Zira didn't lower her guard. "You're lying." "I'm not," Crane said. "I've studied beings like you, but you're different. You're adapting to Earth faster than any alien we've seen. That scares them." Vila struggled to stand. "Why does it scare them?" Crane looked serious. "Because you're becoming something new, not fully alien, not fully human. And that makes you dangerous too." Both sides Zyra exchanged a glance with Vela. She could feel the truth in his words. "What do you want?" Ethan asked. Crane smiled. "To help you escape. I know secret tunnels beneath this warehouse. I can get you out." Zyra's eyes stayed sharp. "Why would you help us?" Crane chuckled. "Because I'm tired of seeing good beings destroyed just because they're different." They hesitated, but time was running out. The sound of engines and boots echoed in the distance. Zyra nodded. "Show us the way." Crane led them to a hidden trapdoor in the floor. A long dark tunnel stretched beneath. "Hurry," Crane urged. "They'll be here soon." As they climbed down, Crane stayed behind, closing the door. But just before he sealed it, Crane touched a small device on his wrist and whispered, "They're on the move, heading south." The tunnel was dampened, cold, lit only by Ethan's flashlight. Vela whispered to Zyra, "Can we trust him?" Zyra shook her head. "I don't know, but we have no choice." They kept moving until they reached the end, a broken gate leading to the open forest. But as they stepped out, Zyra stopped. She felt something wrong. "We're not alone." She whispered. From the shadows, the hunters appeared, waiting for them. Zyra's heart sank. "He betrayed us." Vela's eyes glowed faintly. "I knew it." The hunters raised their weapons. Their leader, taller and stronger, stepped forward. "Return with us, or the human dies," it said coldly. Ethan stood in front of them, shotgun ready. "I'm not scared of you." Zyra's body burned with energy, her hands glowing blue. She stepped forward. "You're not taking him," she said, her voice strong. The hunter leader laughed. "You are weak. You can't win." Zyra looked back at Ethan and Vela. She saw fear in their eyes, but also something else. Something human. She turned back to the hunter and smiled. "Maybe, but humans don't give up." In a flash, she blasted energy from her hands, knocking two hunters back. Vela, weak but determined, joined her, firing waves of light from her palms. Ethan fired his shotgun, breaking another hunter's leg. But the leader was too strong. It charged, grabbing Ethan by the throat, lifting him off the ground. Zyra screamed. "No!" Her energy surged like never before. She ran forward and slammed her glowing fist into the hunter's chest. A shockwave exploded, sending the leader crashing into the trees. Ethan dropped to the ground, gasping. Zyra helped him up. "Are you okay?" Ethan coughed. "Yeah, thanks." But the fight wasn't over. The hunters began to rise again, their bodies repairing themselves. Zyra's energy flickered. She was getting tired. Vela could barely stand. Then, the sound of helicopters. Human forces arrived, led by Director Kane himself. He stepped out, watching the battle. But instead of helping, he just smiled. "Let them fight," Kane said. "We'll take what's left." Zyra realized they were caught between two enemies. She looked at Ethan and Vela. "We have to run again." But Ethan grabbed her hand. "No, we fight together." Zyra looked into his eyes. She saw something powerful there, courage. And in that moment, Zyra understood. It wasn't just her powers that made her strong. It was the people she cared about. She nodded. Together. The hunters charged again, and the forest lit up with blasts, gunfire, and glowing energy. Far away, in the secret facility, Dr. Crane watched the battle on his screen. He smiled. "They're stronger than you think," he whispered. But his eyes weren't kind. He had his own plan, and it was only just beginning. The night was burning. The forest echoed with explosions, energy blasts, and screams. Smoke floated between the trees. Bright lights from helicopters and glowing alien weapons lit up the dark. Zyra stood in the middle of it all, her hands trembling, her energy fading. She looked around. Hunters were everywhere. Soldiers too. But no one cared about saving anyone. Everyone just wanted to win. Beside her, Vela collapsed to her knees, gasping. "I can't. I'm too weak," Vela whispered. Ethan grabbed her arm, trying to help her stand. His face was covered in dirt and sweat, but his eyes stayed fierce. "You're not weak," Ethan said. "We're not giving up." Zira felt the same, but deep inside, she knew the truth. Their powers weren't enough. The hunters were too strong, too fast. Then she heard a sound low and heavy. The sky seemed to break open. She looked up. Giant ship hovered above the trees, bigger than anything she had seen before. Black metal, red lights, moving slowly but with power. Zira's heart sank. "The Prime Hunter," she whispered. Vila's eyes widened. "They sent him." Ethan looked at them. "What's a Prime Hunter?" Zira's voice was cold. "The leader of them all, stronger, smarter, unstoppable." The ground shook as a tall, dark figure dropped from the ship, landing like a meteor. When the dust cleared, the Prime Hunter stood, taller than all others, its body like sharp armor, its eyes burning red. "I am here for the exiles," the Prime Hunter said in a deep, emotionless voice. "Come with me, or I will burn this world." Zira stepped forward, her body glowing faintly. "No, we're not going with you." The Prime Hunter tilted his head, then prepared to lose everything. With a wave of his hand, the hunters attacked. Again, Zira fought back, her energy blasts hitting targets, but not stopping them. Vela tried to help, but her powers were unstable, flickering like a dying flame. Ethan grabbed a fallen soldier's gun, firing wildly, protecting them as best as he could, but it wasn't enough. Suddenly, the Prime Hunter moved fast, too fast. In a blink, he stood before Ethan, grabbing him by the neck. Zira screamed. "Let him go!" The Prime Hunter stared at her. "Surrender, or the human dies." Zira froze. Her hands glowed, but her heart wavered. She felt something strange. Painful, human, fear of losing Ethan. Vila shouted. "Zira, don't! It's a trick!" But Ethan, struggling to breathe, looked at Zira. His voice was weak but clear. Let them win." Tears formed in Zira's eyes, the first tears she had ever felt. And then, something changed. The blue glow in her hands turned white, brighter, hotter. Her body burned with energy she didn't know she had. She screamed, and a blast of pure light shot from her, hitting the Prime Hunter and knocking him back. He dropped Ethan, crashing into a tree. Everyone stopped. Even the hunters paused. Zyra stood, her body surrounded by white light, her hair floating, her eyes shining. Vila stared. "Zyra, your power, it changed." Zira panted, confused. "It's not just power, it's human feeling. Fear, love, pain, it's all mixing." Vila looked down at her hands. She closed her eyes and thought of Ethan, of the kindness he showed, the friendship, the smiles. And then, her own powers turned bright purple, crackling like electricity. The two girls stood together, glowing with new strength. The Prime Hunter rose, his armor cracked. He looked at them. "You are not Xylan anymore," he said. Zira smiled. "No, we're something better." Together, Zira and Vila attacked, their powers combining, white and purple energy swirling, hitting the hunters with force they couldn't handle. Ethan watched, amazed. He had never seen anything like it, but the Prime Hunter didn't fall. He stepped forward slowly, despite the damage. "You can't destroy me," he said. Zyra stood tall. "Maybe not, but we'll protect this world, because here, we have something worth fighting for." The battle raged, but something was clear. Zira and Vila were no longer just aliens. They were becoming something new. Something human. But far away. Director Kane watched the fight through his binoculars, his smile thin. "Let them burn out," Kane whispered. "Then Earth will be mine." Because Kane had his own plan, and the real danger wasn't the hunters. It was him. The forest was no longer quiet. It was a battlefield of broken trees, smoking craters, and fallen bodies, human and alien. Zira stood in the middle of it, her body glowing white, her energy burning hot. Vila stood beside her, her hands crackling with purple light. Both of them were breathing hard, their faces covered in dirt, sweat, and blood. Across from them, the Prime Hunter stood tall, his metal body cracked and sparking, but his red eyes still burning. "You cannot win," the Prime Hunter said. "You are exiles, weak, alone." But Zira shook her head. "We're not alone." She looked to her side. Ethan stood, wounded but alive, holding a broken gun, his face determined. Vila smiled faintly. "We have him, and we have each other." For the first time, the Prime Hunter hesitated. His scanners couldn't understand this human bond, this strange power born from feelings. "I was sent to bring you back," the Prime Hunter said, "but you have changed. You are no longer Xylan." Zira raised her chin. "We are not Xylan. We are not fully human either. But we are something better. And we choose to stay here." The Prime Hunter tilted his head. "Then you must be destroyed." He stepped forward. The ground shook under his weight. But before he could strike, a shadow appeared behind him. Director Kane, holding a high-tech weapon stolen from the agency's secret vault. "Step aside," Kane ordered, his voice cold. "They belong to me now." Zira stared. You set us up." Kane smiled. "Of course. Let the aliens and hunters kill each other. Then I collect what's left." The Prime Hunter turned. "You are nothing human." But Kane laughed. "I'm smarter than you think." Without warning, he fired the weapon. A beam of dark energy struck the Prime Hunter's chest, piercing through his armor. The Great Hunter fell to his knees, his systems failing. Zira and Vela watched in shock as the Prime Hunter collapsed, defeated not by them, but by a greedy human. Kane turned his weapon on them. "Now your turn." Ethan stepped in front of the girls. "You'll have to shoot me first." Kane smirked. "That was always the plan." But before he could fire, Zira's body shined brighter than ever. She raised her hand. "You'll never hurt him," she said. With a scream, she unleashed a wave of white energy, blasting the weapon from Kane's hands. He flew back, crashing against a tree. Unconscious, silence returned to the forest. The Prime Hunter, still alive but dying, looked up at Zira and Vela. "You are not like us," he said softly, his voice fading. "Maybe that is why you won." Then, his red eyes dimmed. He was gone. Later, as the sun rose, the battlefield was quiet. Human soldiers who survived fled. The hunter's ship had vanished, leaving behind only smoke. Zira, Vela, and Ethan sat together, watching the sky turn light. "What now?" Ethan asked. Zira looked at the horizon. "We can't go home. We'd be killed." Vela touched her chest. "But here, we feel alive," Ethan smiled. "Then stay with me." Zira looked at him. "Even after all this, you still want us here?" Ethan chuckled. "You're my friends, maybe more." Vela blushed slightly. Zira smiled. "We choose Earth," Zira said. "We choose this life, this feeling." High above, the sky was clear. But the stars still watched. Somewhere out there, Xylan still waited, angry and cold. But Zira and Vela didn't care. They had found something better than power. They had found humanity and love.